Hello, everyone. Welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host, Liam, aka Hembar. Today I'm doing my weekly update. This is Liam's Leapings number 36. So it is the 22nd of April, 2023, and I've had a pretty good reading week, actually. So school started back up this week, um, and it's been busy, to say the least. So uh, one thing that was actually different is that I didn't get as much writing in as I would like to. I did technically have one piece published, flash fiction piece at Whetstone. It's very tiny. It was very kind of like spur of the moment, and I did do some copy editing as well, which is fun. Um, so it should be some copy edits that I think people will copy edits on a story. I think people will like. so and that's my first time doing copy edits strictly, so that was pretty cool actually. I was a little nervous, but it was fun. I ended up enjoying it. I got some more to do though this weekend, and then yeah. So this week though, as far as my reading goes, I did read a little bit more in Kill Switch. I was reading this last week, so I'll mention this first. I only read one chapter this week. School started and kind of kicked me in the butt. So didn't get nearly as much into this as I would have liked to, um, but I'm enjoying it still. We'll see what else comes with that. And then I did finish a few books actually. So one I did finish actually real quick. I don't have the physical copy yet because it's not out. It comes out in July. That is Nightborn Coldfire Rising. That is a prequel to the Coldfire trilogy by C.S. Friedman. I'm not sure how to say her name. It was pretty good. It was the founding of a lost colony, essentially, is what it was. It's a lost immediately because it's so far from Earth. They have no way to get in contact with Earth. It's very creepy, actually. It's kind of like horror sci-fi in a sense. But I have not read the Coldfire books, but I did enjoy this. And since it was an arc, that review will be coming out sooner rather than later. Most of my other reviews, you have to wait like 3 to 4 months to to listen to. Um, but that one will be coming out Tuesday. It was Tuesday's like day I'll put extra reviews. I'll probably have a few more reviews coming out on later Tuesdays because I have 3 other arcs I'm currently reading or going to be getting to very shortly. So one of those actually is the Scald. It's by Greg Amato, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. I should probably know that, but pretty sure it's by Greg Amato. Let me see. Yeah, Gregory Amato. And so that's a novella. I'm actually about a third of the way through that one right now. Haven't had much time to read. I only started it like yesterday, I think, but it's pretty short. I'll probably finish that one soon. So that's a fun one. It's about a Scald having a very interesting, kind of funny but terrifying experience told in first person. Um, of course, it's the Viking Age. And then I guess before I forget, the books I have been reading though, besides Nightborn, the first book I finished this week actually was Exodus from the Long Sun. I did finish the Book of the Long Sun by Gene Wolfe now, which is exciting, and it definitely sets up Short Sun. I don't know when I'll get Short Sun. I'd like to read another Wolfe book before getting to Short Sun, probably like one of his standalones. But I should probably get Short Sun sooner rather than later because it definitely sets it up here at the very end. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as New Sun, which is kind of understandable. It's hard to pass up New Sun. Though I did enjoy Fifth Head of Cerberus a ton when I read that earlier this year. Long Sun is still really good. It's really, really good, actually. I like it a lot. And I am definitely taking a lot from it. But yeah, so Exodus from the Long Sun. That's one of the other books I finished this week. And then the other book I finished this week was Lavi Titor's Central Station. This is so awesome. This is such a surprise. Okay. I read a Lavi Titor book in February, I believe it was. Maybe it was January. Gorell and the Potbellied God is a novella of guns and sorcery. It's really fun. It's very dark and gritty. Very different in some ways than normal sword and sorcery, but it's really cool still. And I was like, oh, I want to try something else from Lavi Titor, specifically a novel. And Central Station is actually a fix-up novel, which is also cool. And it looked like it was a good one to start with, since a lot of his other novels, like I think Maror and Naom, both take place in the same world, same setting, type of thing. And the big proponent of Lavi Tidor on BookTube, the only proponent actually I've seen, is Raph from Raph Bluetax. Raph is cool, of course. What's up, Raph? You're watching this. Um, and so I thought I'd read this, and it was stinking amazing. Honestly, it might be the best book I've read this year. It's kind of like a love letter to genre fiction, but it's definitely in a literary form. And it's a story in some ways, maybe not 100%, but it's definitely a vampire story. Data vampires, because this is cyberpunk. It's also very Jewish. I believe I've heard the term Hebrew punk thrown out before. Uh, really stinking awesome. I loved this. This was so cool. I'm definitely looking forward to reading more Lavi Tidar. I was reading this and one other book I'll mention here in a second. And I was thinking, wow, geez, I wish I could write that well. So really enjoyed Central Station. I'm not. Does anyone know? Maybe I could probably ask Raph like what's the best Tidar book to read after Central Station, but I didn't look that up before making this video. So those are the three books I finished: Nightborn, Coldfire Rising, Exodus from the Long Sun, and Central Station. And again, I'm already in the Scald, Scout, and Kill Switch. I read some nonfiction, and I read a couple of short stories. I'll mention that real quick. And I read one other novel I'm also excited to talk about, which is I read Everyday Use by Alice Walker, which is an interesting short story. Not my favorite, but it's definitely very interesting. Not bad. It's one to look at essentially, and also good. Young Goodman Brown by Nathaniel Hawthorne. That was more fun. Very romantic and dark. So, anyways, those are the short stories I read this week. I did write a little bit in a story I'm tentatively calling Neon Saint. I haven't written anything in that today. I'm not sure I will. I've been really busy today, and that's like my biggest complaint actually. Is I've just been really busy with a lot of things. But busy is often good in a lot of ways too. So I've been having a good week. There's just a lot more to get done. Particularly, I'll do more schoolwork and then some editing, I think, this week. But and hopefully some writing, because I've had some ideas also. This is kind of just something I don't normally do on here. I got more feedback on my novella, which has been nice. But I was thinking I had this Aryan story idea, and I was thinking it would be, I think, more enriched more. There's apparently this Gene Wolfe writing device about reading a short story, and then once you've read it several times, to try to rewrite that short story. Obviously not to plagiarize, but to get a good form for a short story and then just make it your own. I was thinking I'd do Ulan Dor. I was going to study Ulan Dor for that purpose. And I was thinking based off the idea I have for the story already, since I already had some, like a vague idea for the Syrian story, I was going to mix it a little bit with Raker from the Black Company, which are both fantastic stories and in some ways are kind of similar. So yeah, I think hopefully I'll study those this week. Got some homework. But otherwise, I started this bad boy, House of Chains. I'm super excited. Honestly, super excited to be into this one. I got decently far too. I'm let's see, 220. Well, I'm a little further than this now actually, but about 221 pages in. I'm really enjoying this one so far. They definitely might be the best one once we finish. I mean, who knows? But it definitely is working its way there. It's so far it's been pretty good. So it could be the best Malazan book I've read as of right now. We'll see how it ends. My brother got ahead of me, and so I wanted to catch up a little bit. He's on Midnight Tides, so I was like, oh, oof, I need to catch up. So House of Chains, super stinking good right now. I'm loving it, honestly. And that was the other author that's like made me feel like a bad writer, Steven Erickson with House of Chains and Lavi Tidar. And then speaking of that, actually, I'll pull out the book. I got several books this week, largely for school and other things. I finally got a copy of Knight of Knives. Bryce from Shelf Centered has this reading order. Someone in the chat can tell me I'm wrong, and this is a bad idea, but I probably won't listen to you anyways. But his reading order, it includes the Ice books, the ENC's Esselmont books, in with the Malazan Book of the Fallen. And the first one, this one comes up in his order after you read Midnight Tides, I believe. He says you should read Knight of Knives. And I don't have the whole order memorized. I have it favorited on my phone, so I'll look it up. But I was like, oh, if I read House of Chains and Midnight Tides, and then maybe I can read Knight of Knives. And so I'm looking forward to this one. It's actually a print on demand, even though it's Tor, which is pretty interesting. And it's not very long. I hear this one's definitely like different. But I look forward to reading the ice books. I really just want to get immersed kind of in the Malazan world, which is why I've also been reading the Beauclain and Corbel Broach books. So that I have that, and I will be reading that probably after Midnight Tides. Someone can tell me that's a bad idea, but again, I probably won't listen. And I got a book on the Northern Crusades. I don't remember who wrote this. Let's see, Eric Christensen. They formatted that pretty poorly. Anyways, Penguin, you can do better. But this is about the Northern Crusades. Surprise, surprise. Those are the Crusades with like the Teutonic Knights and like Livonia and Lithuania and stuff like that. So I like me some Crusades. I feel like it's a little too straightforward to just go with the normal Crusades. So you have to get with the Northern Crusades or even I can never remember what the heck the word is. Albigensian. The one against the Cathars in Aquitania. So that one. That would be cool too. I don't have any books on that one yet. And then this book is actually for a class, Literature into Film, Theory and Practical Approaches. Not like bad theory so far, actually, because I've read some of this already, but I kind of just don't care. It's one of my classes that like is one I technically like put in my thing way long time ago, and it's one of those classes that technically switches based off who's teaching and what that teacher feels like teaching. So it's just a themes on literature class, and this teacher wanted to talk about adaptations of books into movies. It's been pretty boring. It's honestly not very entertaining to me. That's just like, this is boring, rather straightforward topic. I'm not a big movie guy, but it's okay, I guess. I don't want to bag on the teacher because she does a good job. It's just not very interesting to me. Then I got Goethe's Faust. It's part 1. I don't have part 2. Part 1. And then maybe this one's actually probably, besides the Ice Malazan book, this one right here is probably the most interesting one. Beyond Rejection by Justin Lieber. This is his first novel. It's sci-fi. I've read one other of his novels, if you remember. The review's not out yet, but it's a fantasy book. And this one just sounds so cool. Lieber is a big philosopher. This Lieber is Fritz Leiber's son, right? He's a philosopher, and this is like kind of seems to deal with identity and maybe even gender dysphoria. It came out in 1980. But if you can look on the cover, it's a little scandalous, I guess you could say. It is about a man, sci-fi, of course. A man, he dies, and so his last like upload, basically his save, essentially, right, of his life, is put not into a copy of his body, but into a woman's body, a woman who has a tail as well. She's got a tail. You just can't really. Was it over here? Yeah, there's a tail. So, and so he goes on this adventure with like, I believe like an 11-year-old. Yeah, it says 11-year-old body housed in intelligence 7 times that age. So I mean, like, it just sounds really wild. It's not very long, so I don't know. I think it sounds fun. I mean, I like Fritz Leiber a lot. The little bit I've read of Justin Leiber is fun. I'm interested to see what he does with sci-fi and with the concept like that. He's definitely one of those guys that he seems to be a functionalist. So that's the greatest one for sci-fi. So anyways, and then J.R. Tolkien, Battle of Malden, which apparently is not out in the U.S., so I ordered it from Book Depository. Home coin of Berthnoth. Edited by Peter Grybauskas. Is that Lithuanian? I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So, which is cool because I've never read this poem, "The Homecoming of Berthelm's Son," which I have known about for a while. And then I didn't even know Tolkien had done a Battle of Malden translation, so this is kind of cool. It's not very long, but it goes well with my Tolkien scholarly stuff, I think. So I'm missing a few of the other recent Tolkien ones, like the Numenor one and the Nature of Middle Earth, but I was like, I gotta get this one. So, and I want the other ones too, but there's just too much to read. If it wasn't evident, like there's just too much to read, and I have too little time. But hopefully I'm being productive. I think I am. And I am liking what I'm reading, so that's important too. And what I'm writing, I just wish I could write more, get more published. It'd be nice. But I'm working on that too. So um, I should have a few more stories. I know I have one in Half Human Heroes coming out in the middle of May, and then I should have one coming out as well. But those are the only two I've accepted right now, so I don't have any others. I have a few submitted. I actually finally got a rejection as well from Astounding. Took months. Took months. They finally rejected it. I thought that was going to happen anyways, but I have no clue where to submit it now. It's one of my longer stories actually, but it's a novelette even. But anyways, this has been Liam Williams Lyceum. Let me know how your week has been. Happy weekend, I suppose. I have some good video ideas, I think, on the horizon. Of course, I'll do the follow-up to Stephen Darlington's lesson. I even have essay. I even have one by Stephen Erickson I think I might talk about, so we'll see. Anyways, I will catch you next time.